Hey everyone, I am Shar and you're here on Colorisma with me, and we are going to do another Draw With Me episode. This time today I am switching up gears and going away from an illustration, which if you watched the past couple of episodes, I'm still not done with that illustration. I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but for now I've got this animation that I'm working on here. There we go. And I'll be working on my iPad, my 4th gen, super nice 2014 iPad here. And the program I'm using is called Flip-A-Clip, and it is the only animation program that works on this iPad that is stuck in iOS 10. So I appreciate the company for being backwards compatible for this long, because otherwise, I don't know what I would do. I would not be animating, that's for sure. Not today, anyway. But yeah, so about the project that I was working on, I came to realize that I do this thing where I am looking for a lot of things. I'm looking for an audience. I'm looking for a project that makes me feel really like passionate about working on it and wanting to work on it all the time. And I'm really like looking at the Venn diagram of those things, those two things. And when I don't find that, it gets very discouraging very quickly. I might be passionate about something. I might want to do a project or want to work on it. But then if like nobody is interested or very few people are interested, and I have like no outside pressure whatsoever to like work on it, and it all has to stem from me, uh, unless I'm really, really, really super passionate about it, the I guess passion fades kind of quickly. And when that happens, the project kind of like loses steam and then I don't complete it. And while I do feel like the project I was working on was a good one in the sense that I feel like it was a project worth pursuing, I also tend to get about 12 steps ahead of where I am currently. Partly it's because of my optimism. I'm just very optimistic, and uh, I like kind of living in my ideal future in my mind. So I will plan projects based on that idealized future and not necessarily on the realistic current now that's happening. And currently now, nobody knows about, well, I don't want to say nobody, but not enough people know about my project, The Golden Troop. So, considering all these things, putting it all together, I realized that I need to do way, 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 way more just promoting the project and having what was really just an auxiliary project. It's like if you had Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? You've seen the whole series. You've seen all of the different books that they put out, and you've even watched like Legend of Korra, whatever. You're a fan of the series already. So if they put a making of art book or a say, for instance, like maybe a Creatures of Avatar book, then you're interested. But before the show even came out in 2010, I think the original came out in 2012. I'm not sure. But anyway, before the original show came out, if they came out with a Creatures of Avatar, you'd be like, I don't know what that is. I mean, could be cool, but like, I don't have any connection to it. I don't. So I realized when I was working on my like Creatures of the Golden Troop, I realized like I was meaning the same thing. Like maybe people thought those creatures could be cool. I thought those creatures were cool, but they didn't like mean anything because they weren't. The main property isn't established yet. So I need to like rewind, take a few steps back, and just work on getting the main property out there into the public conscious and getting people interested in that. And the way I'm planning on moving forward in doing that is with animations. And it has been a plan of mine to work on animation, to do animations. I would love to see my story told through like a streaming service one day and all of that, right? Like I have 3 volumes planned out. I have beginning, middle, and end generally in here. And part of the fun with the comic is going along the way and establishing the different things that happen and working it out, not having everything so like I'm not really good with like having a perfect plan from beginning to end and then just executing it. I like figuring it out along the way because that's part of the interest for me. That's part of the thing that keeps me interested in it. That said, I feel like there is a distinct both growth and lack of 2D animation. I follow probably most of the prominent 2D animators on both like TikTok and Instagram, and a few from YouTube, the ones that do more of this style of animation, as opposed to maybe, I don't know what you'd call the other style, maybe like puppet rigging kind of animation. I don't follow a ton of those, a few, but not a ton. But there's like an interest in this kind of animation and an opening for people to like do it. Because I've seen a few different people who have just done animatics and became wildly successful with it. And not to say like I would exactly copy their success or be able to, but I just see an opening there, and it just would be a shame if I just didn't like kind of jump on that. So that said, this is the animation I'm working on. This is what I was able to do yesterday. This is kind of the most exciting part for me. The part I'm going to be working on today during the show is going to be taking like either the first or little segment and kind of like fleshing it out and filling it in. There are some like missing frames, so it's got like a blinking kind of strobing effect. So if you're sensitive to that, just want a fair warning. But here it is with the sound. I think the sound is going to play. We'll see. If not, I'll try again. Anyway, here's the animation so far. So that was that. Hopefully it played okay. It seemed to be a lag between what was happening on my iPad and then what was happening on the screen. So we'll see if that comes out okay or not. But effectively, it's like a little music video in my head that I have been. So when I drive, I listen to music, and I listen to music like this. This is a song called "Here We Go" by Vo Williams. Super awesome artist. I don't know why he hasn't blown up even more. I love every single one of his songs. And most of the videos in my head stem from his songs and music. But so while I'm driving, I tend to play the same songs over and over, and I just like watch while, I mean, it's weird. It's a third eye thing you can see in your mind while you're also seeing the world around you. But anyway, I can kind of watch the video playing in my head, plan it out, figure out what the next thing. It's a fun thing I do while driving. I drive not a ton, but more than a lot of people, sometimes an hour at a time. So it's a lot of time to like think through these things. And I have quite a few music videos played out in my head. Some of them have actually helped develop the story. And that's really exciting too, because then I get a real emotional attachment to certain songs. And there's about 4 or 5 songs that I could, if I could just like do nothing but just animate them for, the next however long it takes, I would be super happy with that. But for the time being, this was one. Also, a lot of the music videos and stuff that I have planned are super spoilery for the events that will be taking place in the Golden Troop. So I kind of want to work on it, but I also kind of want to wait. So it's like that mixture. It might be something that I work on completely in private until it makes sense to kind of launch it with what's going on in the comic. But this one is a little spoilery in the sense that there are two main characters. It's me in the past life, and then the horse Aspa. And she's a special horse. She is very unique. Worst kept secret in the whole series is what she actually is. I won't just out and say it, but I mean, if you know, you know. And she has a lot of special attributes. And then during the course of the story, she's going to have even more. And one of the attributes that comes out kind of early, one attribute that has come out already in the story is that she has no problem with dispatching other living creatures. So that's a thing. And then on top of it, one that's going to come out kind of did, but you don't know it yet, is that she has a special gait. Horses typically, most horses, we won't talk about special gaited horses. We could, but I won't. Have 4 gaits: walk, trot, canter, and gallop. And that is in order of speed. So walk is the slowest, gallop is the fastest. Typically a thoroughbred, which is about the fastest horse, can go about 45, maybe 50, really pushing it, miles per hour. And the fastest land animal, I don't know what's up with my nose, the fastest land animal is a cheetah. And cheetahs can go, I thought just 70 miles per hour, but I looked on Google last night and apparently some reports say 80. So that's news to me. But most of the reports I've seen on cheetah speed typically range them from 65 to 70 miles per hour. And that's what I based this next thing on. So Aspa's top speed is 60 miles per hour. It's potentially a full 20 miles per hour faster than a typical horse, and she can do this. So, okay, horse nerd alert. Horses, their backs are kind of like locked into position. So when you see a horse like turning its head and stuff, it's turning from the base of its neck and its withers, which are like its shoulders. And it doesn't actually flex its spine this way or up and down much this way. Their back is relatively rigid and kind of locked into place. Aspa's is not. Aspa's is most of the time, but then when she launches into this 5th gate, which I've called Fleet, her spine unlocks, and then she can get almost the same range of motion as a cheetah, that like undulation of their back, and the way they can, the reason really why they can move as fast as they can. She also, I may have discussed this before, I can't remember now, but she also has the cheetah-like ability to hyper focus and lock, like gyroscope her head in place. So like no matter what she's doing with her body, her head is like perfectly still. It's really weird. When you see not a horse, because a horse can't do this, but when you see a cheetah running after prey, which is when they're probably running the fastest, probably if you see those things where humans are making cheetahs run, I don't feel like they're ever really reaching their top speed, because I don't think that play drive is as powerful or urgent as prey drive. So I don't think you're going to see a cheetah meet its top speed if it's just chasing after something that isn't food, because it knows that it might get food, but it knows that that isn't food. It's just doing it for fun. But when you see a cheetah after actually going after like a gazelle or something, their head is like insane. Like it might move slightly, but like not in relation to their body. It is like locked on the target of the prey, and it only tracks the prey. It doesn't move with the body. It's very unusual, but it's a very predatory behavior, and it's the same thing that Aspa does, which is very unnerving. If you don't like horses, you are not going to like this story very much. But yeah, so starting with the animation side of things, I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit. There we go. I have onion skin on. I think I'm going to turn that off for a moment, or I might edit it. Oh, don't want that. Let's see. There we go. So I'm doing this in horizontal landscape mode, but I am also doing it to the format of a phone format, so I can upload this to TikTok. I'm trying to make it on TikTok, trying so hard. I've got up to 80 followers now, which in TikTok terms is not very many, and really any social media terms, it's not very many, but a lot of like the more famous creators and artists on there are like, you know, cool 1-2 mil, but you know, we'll get there. But anyway, I started the whole animation with this frame. I drew the scene that I wanted in a rough fashion. I wasn't trying to go for like the final product. I was just trying to get something on the screen. And then I just worked backwards from the point where I wanted something different to happen. I worked backwards and shrunk it frame by frame. I just copied and pasted each frame. There's a little bit of a hiccup, right? Can't tell where it is. It's when you see it playing, you can see it really easily, but then when just doing like this, I can't. Oh, there it is. That one. So frames 10 and 11 are a little bit out of sync. But it doesn't really matter because I'm actually going to redraw all of this in a more finalized kind of fashion, and then do that same technique and work backwards again, just more carefully so I don't get that hiccup. I kind of wish that there was, I realize this is a very simple app, and that they don't want to over probably bog it, the system. And also, given the age of my iPad, I don't know if it could even handle this, but I kind of wish there were cameras, like you could play with the camera. It's probably like an After Effects thing. I'll just have to like cave and actually get After Effects or something, because what I'd really like is to just pan the camera across a drawing and then have that take up multiple frames. I don't know how that would work in the UI or anything like that, but that it's just, you know, that's what I would like. So this is that first scene, and again, it just kind of that initial kind of like crescendo of music going from quiet to louder. And I just wanted something to kind of like draw your attention to the scene. And then the next scene is when the music, like the actual lyrics start, and I just wanted to like jump into action. So I skipped a couple of frames to, I'm only doing this at 12 frames per second. I don't know if I want to increase it or not. It would make for a smoother animation and I could get more nuance in there. But also currently, I think it's at 250 frames or so. And if I added like 24 frames per second, that's going to exponentially increase the amount of frames. And I kind of like doing these projects within a week or two. And doing that many drawings, especially when I'm doing actual animation and not just like an animatic style video or anything. I'm just trying to get this done like before the end of the year. So then I have the music and lyrics are starting, and just kind of like jumping right into a canter from a standstill, and then running off screen, and then it switches to a different viewpoint and showing like a horse running away. I don't know if I will work in scenery or not, as far as like make it look like the ground is rushing below. I don't know all the I could figure it out, but I don't know all intrinsically all the techniques for that kind of stuff. So I think the part I will work on next, I'd like to get, even though it's going to be rough, I'd like to get all of the in-between frames done before moving on to finalizing the look and the feel and consistency of the characters, adding all the details as far as like bridle, saddle, extra feathering on the legs and all that kind of stuff, mane and the character's hair and everything. So I think I'm just going to try to fill in the frames, and I will do that with the onion skin on. But first, I had it set to as high as it would go as far as the amount of frames that it showed before and the amount of frames that it showed after. And that's helpful when you're trying to plan out your animation. There's a couple of different ways to animate. And one, which is my favorite, which I tend to accidentally do all the time, is called just straight ahead animation. And it's just frame by frame, and you just that like draw exactly what you imagine in the sequence that you imagine it straight ahead. The other one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's keyframe. So the next other one is called keyframe animation, and that is when you establish different keys throughout the sequence, whatever that is. If it's a song or lyrics or dialogue, then you just establish those keyframes. And that's typically what an animatic is just the basic keyframes of the animation. I'm going to start with one. I think my method is a mix. I think it's a mix of straight ahead and keyframe because I really like going in order. It's hard for me to know exactly when to change the scene. Well, it's not hard for me to know when to change the scenes, but I really just like to reference the character a lot. So I tend to take the thing I already drew and then like maybe do it in the this is like extra confusing to explain, but like say I'm working on this little frame here, doesn't actually have anything on it. Oh, my pen. No, you're on. Okay. So this frame here actually doesn't have these drawings on it. This is just what you can see from before. So this is frame 37. This is frame 36. And what I'll do is I'll like, if I want to change to a different scene, I'll draw frame, or I'll have frame 36 in here. I'll move to frame 37 and then use this as a reference. And I feel like maybe that's kind of like straight ahead. I don't know. I'm self-taught on animation, as if you couldn't tell. I just watch videos and figure it out as I go. So if I'm not using the correct terminology or the phrasings or anything, then blame it on that. All right. I think I'm going to move this one over to there. Delete that one. I like working with an odd number of frames because I feel like I can in between easier. So in betweening is doing the different frames in between the main keyframes, the main animation points that you are working on. So I have my headphone wire in the way. So I am going to maybe edit the onion skin again one more time. There we go. So now I can get a real sense of what these two different frames are doing. So I can think See, in my experience now, I'm having issues thinking backwards. Like sometimes I'll be working on something and I know I'll have to draw the thing that came just before this action that is currently depicted. And that's kind of hard for me to do compared to just thinking forward. Like, again, this is like real, like meta cerebral stuff. It's hard to like really put into words unless you're actually doing it. Hopefully I'm making some kind of sense and y'all are getting something from this, but let's see. Nope, wrong tool. I do that a lot. The lasso tool is really easy to forget that I'm using it. Okay. So the other thing is, this is an older iPad. I'm not using an Apple Pencil. This is a $25 stylus off of Amazon. So I don't have touch rejection. I don't have like the arm thing. So I'm having to do a lot of like this very difficult finagling of my hand to try to like not touch the screen. So I'm just trying to establish the very in between of what this action here. So I'm just, in a way it's kind of nice because you know what came before and you know what came after. So you know that there's only a very limited range of motion that could be happening. And in a way, it's kind of like figuring out a puzzle, which is kind of fun. And then this leg is the same, doing the same thing. I do have 10 years of writing experience and about 30 plus years of obsessed with horses experience. So that makes this a little easier than it could be if you don't have all that kind of experience in this particular thing that I'm animating. Getting a little bit like hyper focused here. But if anybody is watching now or watching later and you have any questions, like I said, I'm not like an expert. I am just learning as I go. I think it's nice doing that though sometimes. But I am happy to share what I do know and what I am learning along the way. And like I said, this app, if you either missed it from earlier or didn't hear, is called Flip a Clip. And it is, I believe, a free application. It's been a minute since I've had it, so I believe it starts off as free with a certain number of features and functionality, and then you can upgrade for, I want to say it was like $6, and it was very worth the money. It's probably the best app purchase I've made so far this year. So sometimes I flip from one to the other, full scene to try to kind of mentally figure out what more I might need to do. I'm gonna make her neck a little crestier. This horse is based on a breed called an Arabian. she would be technically a Persian Arabian. She's not really an Arabian. I'm sure y'all who've been following the comic know that she's definitely not a normal horse. But kind of anatomically, she's Arabian-esque, and then later on, she's going to get a lot of features that are going to make her look a lot more like a Andalusian. Her crest is going to get ridiculous. That's the only way I can put it. Crest is like this part of the horse's neck running from the poll, which is right here, down to the withers, which is right here. But yeah, it's like this kind of the thing that holds the mane, like the flap of skin that holds the mane. So then the character is sitting back slightly. And then the hands are right here in the middle. This is very much like a placeholder figure. This is not like what the character design looks like for the human, really. It's just to get like positioning, seat, foot position, hand and arm position, and head position correct. It's more like a doll than what the actual character looks like at all. It's like no hair or anything. So, and then what's the tail doing? Kind of going back a little bit. I'm kind of doing a little bit of simplistic design. Probably doesn't seem like it, but I'm actually making this simpler than I could if I were doing like an illustration. So I'm like not doing the tail or the features as intricately as I might otherwise. I'm not going to mess with too many details as far as like the eyes exactly, because all right, now we're going to move this down to just one before and one after, because it bases it on the frames that you're surrounded by. So you're only surrounded by these two frames, so you only need one before and one after. So then you just in between again, in between the in-betweens. There's another setting that I had changed from when I was working a lot. I'm going to change that back down. I had it higher. Yeah, that's fine. Some apps let you like change the colors, the individual colors of the before and after frames. This one does not, which isn't like a super bad thing, but I kind of like that feature, because sometimes the default colors they choose are like hard to follow. Like they use this kind of like very medium green color, and it's for the after animations and or the after drawings, and it just didn't quite. It's hard to see it compared to the red before drawings. So then the knee goes there, and then the shoulder will go right here. So this is going to look a little funny. Technically, horses can do this. This very awkward. This is kind of like a landing slash just about to leave the ground position for horse leg, but it looks kind of broken. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look great, but if you pause any 2D animation though at the right or / wrong time, depending on how you feel about it. Okay, that happens sometimes, and I don't know why. It just duplicated what I was working on and made it darker, which is a nice feature, but I don't know how I did that, because all I did was press the erase button. And I can't duplicate it it seemingly. So yeah, I don't know everything about this app either. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh well. I have done a little bit of animation where I tried to do more of a puppet style, and I did a lot of copy and pasting to try to simulate like actually hand drawing each frame by frame. And let me tell you, like it did not give it a good effect. Like it did not look good. Maybe there's a trick to doing that I don't know, but for some reason, for me, just drawing out the frames always turns out so much nicer than trying to trick it or try to go like skip steps or something. So I'm gonna attempt to keep this at 12 frames per second unless like it just looks really abysmal or I just really want to get some more details in there. So we're almost done actually. Got about 15 more minutes. We'll see how much more I can do. I was gabbing a lot earlier. I was excited to talk about this new venture I'm starting. I did some animations earlier, like earlier on in the year before everything, and some last year. And I just chose like funny little TikTok sounds and thought I would animate to them, and they turned out okay. But they didn't tend to get any more attention than anything else I did. And ultimately, I feel like it was a distraction. It was practice, so it wasn't like time wasted or anything. It was good practice, getting used to flip a clip and the process of animating in general. But I think I've been kind of scared to really pursue the thing I really want to actually pursue. Partially because I'm afraid that just like all the other stuff I've put a lot of time and energy in, that I'll put a lot of time and energy in and it just won't get any attention. And it's just like kind of disappointing when that happens. Especially when you are really passionate about it. It's one thing if you're just like, I could take it or leave this. But when you like really care about something and then like it doesn't ever go anywhere, it's really frustrating. So I think I've been preventing myself from really working on the thing that I really want to do because that's just what I'm worried about. And if it was a baseless fear, I could probably be talked out of it, but it is not. It is based on past lived experience. So, all right, let's see how that looks. So getting there. That's going to be an interesting transition there, that first step. Wow, I skipped a whole bunch on that one there. That's like nearly 10 frames there in between those two things. That was just to indicate that she's like leaving the scene, leaving the picture entirely. All right, so that's that one and that one. Yeah, that's a big change right there between those two. So because I only have it, I'll talk a little bit about this app. So I have it on set on frame 42 right now. And because I only have the onion skin set to one frame, 41 and 43 are empty. So you're seeing no onion skin. So that's why sometimes I have to play with moving it up or down to just kind of help me to be able to do this easier. And for some reason, might be a setting I can change. Ah, there it is. So I get why they're doing it, but I want the opacity for the beginning and to be the same so I can really draw in between. See, I can see frame. What am I looking at? All right, onion skin, why are you being difficult? Here we go. Just trying to get it to 25. That's close enough. There we go. So now it's a little confusing because I can see it pretty clearly, but at least now I can draw in between these two things a lot better. Man, kind of what was I thinking with that pose? That, I drew myself into a pickle. I mean, I can change it. I'm just trying to think of how she could move from that to that in like 3 frames. Because it's not a normal horse thing. Normally she would, if a horse is rearing up slightly, they would move their next foot would be like here, and then they would push off from that foot that way. So why did I do that? And this is what happens. Like, sometimes you just realize like, oh, no, I did that wrong. And then you just move forward. It's not too big of a deal. So about here. Human is about there. Just trying to keep an eye on the time. Hopefully this is interesting to you guys. I like watching when people animate. I think it's fun. Kind of going along and seeing their process. So one leg, typically with the horse gait, one leg leads, especially in the canter, which is what she's about to just like go from a standstill straight to a canter. It's easier for a horse to canter after a jump. So that's why sometimes when you see a horse just standing there and then they immediately look like they start running, they do this little hop just to get their legs in position. Like, it's the fastest way for them to get their legs into a position where they can actually canter. So that's why they do that. It's like when you're watching a horse race and they look like they're all leaping out of the starting gate, it's because they are. That is literally what they're doing. They're taking a little leap just to get their legs in the right configuration in order to go fast. Gotta go fast. So this is the part where my brain has to work kind of hard and I might get kind of quiet. So if you, again, have any questions, just let me know. Let me see, a little whoop. You like those old behind the scenes clips of like Disney and stuff when they're showing how they're animating and they're like doing the faces or doing the dialogue, trying to figure out how to move. There's a little bit of parallax with this stylus and this iPad, so sometimes I think I'm making a mark and it's actually not in the mark I think it should be. Fun times. Oh, see, here was the starting leg height, and then look where I drew, like all the way down here. Like that doesn't make sense. So that's another thing to kind of keep an eye on. I'm tapping the screen twice with 2 fingers, and that kind of is the undo shortcut. So the knee to follow, I gotta follow the knee right there. This is why onion skinning is helpful though. So I'm trying to imagine, and this, I also, when I'm doing this, like just whenever I'm working by myself, I will often, very often, pull up different kinds of references. I will look up like YouTube videos of a horse, like either taking off or landing, well, in this particular instance, but I will use video reference whenever possible. Like I could show the video reference for a lot of the animations I'm doing and you would be like, I mean, I guess, but that's typically what I use reference for, is like, I already have what I want in my head and I either have a sketch or a like proto sketch or something going on, and then I'm just finding reference to make that happen. I'm not trying to have reference to copy it exactly. I mean, that's another way to use reference, but it's not typically how I tend to use reference. And in fact, using reference in the copying exactly kind of fashion is a special skill, and it's a kind of use it or lose it. I did do that for a really long time when I was drawing in school. And by drawing in school, I don't mean going to school for drawing. I mean, like, I was in, like, from 1st grade to 12th grade drawing in school. And I would regularly just have like these little DK miniature animal books that were like, they were so cute. I gave them all away, but they were like yay big or so, and they were real little, and they had really nice photographs, especially for like the 90s, of all these different animals. And I would just copy them and into my sketchbooks. And my sketchbooks were largely just like animal treasure troves of just different kinds of species of whatever. And it's just about doing the method that works with the focus that you want. So if you already have in your head exactly the image you want, you could spend a lot of time like organizing a reference to exactly copy, or you can just spend less time with references and more time just figuring it out, kind of like on the fly, as it were. Sometimes I work on stuff and I'm like, does this look right? I don't know. Because it's really hard to tell. See, I'm also might change that last frame, or maybe at least those front, that back leg makes sense. Those front positioning doesn't really make sense. In fact, I might change that now. That way I can like more easily do the in-betweens. I don't remember, I might have copied some photo reference, but I didn't base it on, I based it on what I thought the leg position might be and not like what it would actually be. I'm just having a real hard time trying to remember, like, think. I think I just might have more motion than I have frames to depict that motion. So it can be difficult when that kind of thing happens. And this is why I think I might up the frames. I also can't remember what happens when you do that. I know you can change the frames. You can go to project settings. And look, you can even change the frames. I just don't, well, you can see the example of what happens. So there's the ball bouncing at 12, and then there it is at 24. So hopefully it comes up on the screen smooth, but it definitely looks smoother on my iPad. This one, it just looks kind of, it doesn't look bad. It's kind of weird. Just looks smoother. It's definitely harder to get nuance into shorter, or not shorter, but fewer amounts of frames. I like Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs, and I've been following the tag for a while, especially since the new series came out, and some of the animators who are working on the project are actually releasing some of their like clips of the things that they animated. And I did see one with Pinky and the Brain, and it was just like so smooth. And there were so many little nuances in the expressions and just like the gestures and everything. And I was just like, oh, it's so cool. And in fact, after watching it, I immediately got started on this because I was like, oh, I want to do that now. So probably going to lead with this foot. Maybe that's my problem, is I'm just... So fun fact about horses is much like we have handedness, we have left and right handedness, horses have the same thing. They have a preferred left and right side. I can't remember if they're mostly one or the other, as far as like, I don't know if they're mostly like left-handed or left-sided versus right-sided. But this movement would make Aspa tending toward being right-sided. So I have another animation in the works. It's a lot longer. It's a lot more involved. But I'm in a weird spot with it because I'm not working on it on Flip-a-Clip. I'm working on it on my computer in an app that is still actually being developed, and it's called where are you? Here it is. Animation Paper. And it's a really cool app, but it's still in development. And in fact, I have access to the alpha, not even the beta. Like, this is the alpha stuff. And it's taken, I've been following the creator of Animation Paper and following updates and stuff for 2 years now, till it's gotten even into the alpha stage, and they released the first alpha in April, I think, or March of this year. And they did one update since. It's a very small team, so I don't blame them at all. But and they're wanting to do a really good project. They don't want to release something half-baked. So they're really spending their time and working on it. But when it's the best option, because it's when it releases, it's going to be $70, not per month, not $70 per update. It's like going to be $70. So I'm just like, I'm like, shut up and take my money, to quote a meme. But I feel like the links, we'll see. but yeah, so I'm waiting for that to be released more. Currently I can't like export. They haven't worked that functionality out yet. So it just makes it hard to like really work on that project and show any updates or progress from it, because it just it's just not quite far enough along yet to be able to do that. Make the knee a little higher. There we go. All right. We're just about done. I've got about 5 more minutes left. So kind of the thing I'm not worried, but thinking about. So if you look at the back legs, so they look good there. I like that motion of the little bit of a bend. And then that, like, there's just not enough, like, me. It doesn't look, it might work as an in-between. I want a little bit more life into that, though. I like that a lot, like that little, on the back legs anyway. I'm not sold on the front legs, what they're doing there yet, but then when I get to that, it just look like they're like, meh, just no, like she's supposed to be like pushing off with her back legs there, and it just doesn't look like it. So that's something else. So sometimes I finish the whole entire sketch and then I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't look great. So then this foot would be down all the way. This one would be starting to come up this way. Shoulder will be here. Elbow, forearm. This leg is planted onto the ground. I also need to, of course, promote Colourisma more, because I was mentioning it to a friend today, right before the show, that I would be working on this animation on Colourisma, and they said, what's Colourisma? And I was like, every time I get that, every time I hear that, it just shows that I'm not talking about it enough, because even though you might do something every single week, if no one knows about it, then you're not advertising it enough. You need to be advertising it so much that everybody's like, yes, I know you do the thing. They may not be interested, but at least they need to know that you're doing it. All right. That's not great for the tangent of the legs crossing over, but yeah, that looks good. And then she'll just be like going into, and then this leg. It's hard when they're running off screen sometimes, because the parts you need to draw are going to be off screen, and some apps let you like scribble around in the area off screen, and some are just like no. And this is one of the ones that just go no. So then I draw really rudimentary. Yeah, it's too rudimentary that I don't even know. That might work out. Yeah, so just to try to see like what parts are even depicted. And then, so then they go tuck and then release. I don't know if y'all can hear the random car sounds that I can, but it's just part of the deal with where I am. So there's my really, really rough I'll turn off onion real quick. So that's like my super rough before I even like clean that up. That's what that looks like. And that's just to get like the super general look of everything. So yeah, not, you know, not a ton, but let's see what we did today before I take off. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So you can kind of see how this will progress over time and how long it took. Like, I mean, yeah, I was gabbing a lot at the beginning, but I probably spent, you know, 30 to 40 solid minutes and drew like 4 or 5 frames. So it takes a while. I definitely understand why there's whole teams working on this kind of stuff. It's a little too precious for me right now to even think about passing the baton. Plus, it's just too much fun for me right now. We'll see. I'm curious if I can develop a way to do all this while still being able to handle most of the work myself. I realize nobody works that way generally, and probably for a reason. So we'll see though. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. This will be the next thing I'm working on. I'm not like canceling my Golden Troop creature book, but I am going to put it on hold until further notice, because it was just too it wasn't the right time for it. It wasn't really too anything. It's just not the right time for it. So it's like a super early preview. If you're actually aware of it before it comes out, then you're like a super fan of the project. But yeah, so I think it's good to assess what you're doing, assess how it's working, and then decide what is going to be best for your project, or what's going to be best for the next step that you take for your project. So with that said, I hope that you found this interesting. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more draw with me's where I will be animating various things. So if that's something you're interested in, or if you're interested in, or if you know anybody who is interested in animation, then feel free to send them Colourisma's way, because that's definitely going to be something that is going to be happening more in the future. As well, I believe next Tuesday is December already, so that's a thing that's happening. And with that, we're going to be having another guest, so I'm really excited about that. And we're going to, you know, have a nice chat, and I'm excited to get another guest here on Colourisma. I'm needing to email more people because, again, I'm just so terrible about that. So much going on. But coming up in this new year, 2021, come on, I got my hopes up for you, because but yeah, I appreciate you for watching, checking out the show today. And if you want to see more Colourisma stuff, you can check us out, us being just me for now, but you can check out Colourisma on Instagram, and you can at Colourisma, also on Twitter, and I think I also made a Colourisma TikTok, but I haven't done anything with it yet. But yeah, so that's all done. And and of course, if you really, really want to support the show, you can check out patreon.com/Colourisma. I'm running E on energy, so I'll take that as the moment to leave. So thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.